Hello and good morning, sir. My name is Abigail,
I'm Adam. We are both from Segi University Architecture program.
and we are here to interview regarding architecture, your experience as an architect. And this is basically for our module, which is professional studies. Would it be all right if you were to introduce yourself?
So thank you so much. Good morning, Abigail and Adam. My name is Qhawarizmi Hisham. I'm an architect practicing in Malaysia. Currently, I am the Malaysia representative for Architecture Council in Asia. So we are representing young Malaysian architects in the Asian stage. So I am running multiple practices, MDRXA, Qhawarizmi Architect, and also Practical Architects and Berhad. So all these practices, work in synchronization to deliver certain products in different aspects of architecture. Yeah. So nice to meet both of you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we will start with all the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. First question is from me. Would it be all right if you were to tell us about yourself, the past experiences you have relevant to your role as an architect before you started your own company?
Yep. So as I mentioned just now, I running 3 practices, and all these practices are actually been established in different stage of my architectural career. At the same time, for the past 7.5 years, I've been teaching collectively in UiTM, Taylor's University, and UCSI University. So I also have an academic career beside my professional practice. My background was my ambition when I was a little kid. I think as early as 7 years old, if not mistaken. For the longest time, I have been, set my mind to become an architect because my father is actually a quantity surveyor, and a lot of my family members are in construction industry, but none of them are architects. And I think there's a lot of creative exploration can be had in this particular field. So if you look at it, during my primary school days, you can see a lot of children will say they want to be a doctor or engineer, and but rarely an architect, because it's fairly, at that moment of time, during my time, it's not a popular profession.
Mm-hmm.
And that family background indirectly, I think, introduced me to what architecture is, and it is a possible future pursuit. So as I grew and eventually go to a university, and I was in UiTM, University Technology Mara, is a local university in Malaysia. And we encounter great mentors there. For example, Professor Tuan Syed Sobri or Architect Wan Azhar, to name a few. These people actually took their personal time to develop people that actually interested to going further. And after that, I've been working with Architect Sali and Architect Idayu in SA Square. And that particular practice is actually brought me to the journey of having my own practice right now. So that is the backstory, where I studied, where I previously worked as an architect, and eventually now opening my own practice. Yep.
Okay, and I guess that's really nice because you knew what you wanted at a really young age.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you proud that you've achieved that? Like,
Actually, it's very rare for a kid to actually have
exactly.
Such a solidifying ambition and eventually getting it done.
Uh-huh.
So I would say, I think I will make my 10-year-old proud. Meaning, if I could, go back in time, I would say to him that, oh, it's okay, you're gonna be an architect one day. So it's a full circle, I would say.
Yeah.
Really? Anyway, let's move on to our next question. So what inspired you to start your own company? Can you just what did you want to do? Did you want to change the industry when you started the company? Like, just a brief history of it.
So I did mention that I'm running 3 different practices, and I established them because I want to answer a different question that is in the architecture realm. So if you could imagine, these practices is nothing more like a vessel. It's just getting you to somewhere that you want to go, or certain direction that you want to explore. The first practice that we established is MDRXA, which is Manifesto of Design and Research in Experimental Architecture. It is actually been brought up due to the necessity of somebody commissioning a bungalow, a small bungalow, that we kind of have to have an entity to take over the job. We can't, just go as an individual. So I'm establishing that during my master's years. So it is fairly early, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2012. It's almost, next year is going to be 10 years old. So during that days, since we, obviously we are students, we don't have any, much commission work. So what we do is that we participating in a lot of student architecture competition. And now, as we already grew from that phase of becoming a student, it has already become more architectural research focused with the output like publication and also symposium or a workshop, something like that. So it's no longer participating in students workshop competition. So in a way, you can see that it is a bit more informal, a bit more freer. You can go about, you can do installation, architectural research, community engagement, things like that. That might not be traditionally covered in architecture practice. And when I received my registration as an architect, I established Qhawarizmi Architect. In a way, it is also an answer to, if you look at national level competition, they need a registered architect to participate in. So in order to get into that league, so we need to get a registered practice, and eventually it also opened up for us to offer the full architecture service. So this is also a foundation to a more serious or better vessel that we just have established in 2019, which is Praktika Architect Semberhad, which going to provide the full consultancy practice and service. And it's also the long-term practice that I'm thinking of growing moving forward. So I think with regards with all these three, you can see there is certain background behind them is totally different, and they are coming in different time. So that is the situation I'm in now. So I'm just juggling my time between these three on top of my part-time teaching endeavors.
Oh, okay, you're teaching as well. Sir, if you don't mind me asking, at what age did you get your title?
I think 2000, either 17 or 17, I think, or 16. I can't remember. But I was 27, I think.
27.
Yeah, when I get it, yeah.
Okay.
I was 27.
Okay.
Now I'm 31, coming to 32, yeah, something like that.
Still very young. It's a young age. Okay, I'll just move forward to the following questions. Okay. So for the last few years, can you just give us the range of the project scales, and is there any architectural typology to the company of it? Are you guys focused on anything?
Yeah, MDRXA endeavors can range from very big master plan, because MDRXA work on a very conceptual level or abstraction level, so it doesn't have any physical reality. It could come up to a very big master plan or very small, like a furniture. So
furnitures.
Yeah, so we do some research project that actually tailored, and sometimes research project doesn't have a physical form, like community engagement, for example.
Yes.
But Qhawarizmi Architect is, as I mentioned before, is mainly focused on competition. With that in mind, our project scale, project type is highly dependent on what competition we are entering. And we have won several national level competition like Perak Road Market, Kamuda 4.0 housing, and there are some more waiting down in the pipeline that we're still waiting for results, like Penang Bay competition, Vin Fast Showroom competition, Malaysia Tropical House competition.
Oh.
So I wouldn't say we have a specific typological focus, but we have, I would say exploration focus instead. Since Praktika Architects is fairly new, so the range of project we have on hand that we're gonna actually build on site is small retail or house renovation bungalows that we kind of just one or maybe just 1.5 years old, so it's fairly new. But with that being said, we are also bidding for larger projects. For example, Kota Baru International Airport, mixed commercial development in Gamuda Cove. So we are trying to bid for a bigger project, definitely. But as of now, we are trying to focus our effort in the improving our back end, because all those form letters we are trying to polish them as much as possible in order to provide an excellent service for our potential clients. So our focus in Practica right now is just improving our own workflow per se, in order for us, when we get a bigger project, we are ready for it.
Okay, is the airport, is that an ongoing project, or just, or you?
There is bungalows that is almost going into construction maybe next month. Because of the MCO and whatnot, it's quite difficult to start. And then a few house renovation as well are waiting for MCO to end in order for them to start construction. So there is at least 3 to 4 projects on the ground, but due to the fact that MCO doesn't allow new construction to begin, so we have to kind of wait for a month or two maybe. Yeah.
Okay. I've noticed that a lot of project has been like disturbed because of the MCO. Did your company undergone like a huge loss or anything because of
since
the pandemic?
Since we are very, very small, like minute, we are consist of 3. For example, Practical Architects, we have 3 directors, and basically we have help on and off as we need them. So we don't have that. We don't get that severe effect from the COVID or MCO. But nevertheless, if it doesn't, if we don't have this pandemic going on, I think we would, grow slightly faster. The fact that MCO has deterred some people to hold their money and not actually building has to some degree has effect on us as well, even though it's not directly losses. It's just maybe we lost some future opportunities. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
So basically, your company has a small organization.
Yes, we are. I think at this moment of time, it is good to be agile, good to be flexible with your size. I mean, some practice have problem with maintaining staff or personnel. Definitely, we are sympathize with our colleagues. But at the same time, we were thinking that in the future, it will be more collaborative based, meaning that even if you are small, you can collaborate with multiple architects, multiple parties to make it slightly sizable. Yeah.
Plan on expanding your company in the near future, or maybe not yet?
I think the idea of expanding will come with if we need to fill certain gap. For example, there is certain expertise, for example, building information technology like BIM. Maybe there is some level of discrepancy or lack of technical skill, or why not we can somehow think about expanding. But I think in this new age, as I mentioned just now, if you adopt BIM, literally you can become one architect and you can draw the whole thing by yourself. I think this is the new model of how people do architecture service, by leveraging technologies to amplify one's capability. So it's like, instead of you yourself, because of you use this tool and that tool, it become almost like a 5-person's job or work. This is important because the value of architecture is not moving, meaning that the value is the same. So if you keep on, if you deliver the same value with 10 people minus deliver the same value with 3 people, of course that 10 people are not going to get sizable salary or sizable pay.
Yes.
So this is the problem. I think a lot of young architects are having a problem with lower pay, but the problem is you need to think about how the value chain work. So I don't know, nowadays I would not say being small is a disadvantage, but definitely some traditional people might, some people still see that, if you have 10 or 20 or 50 staff, it is a better firm than a 3-person. But it's not necessarily true, I would say. But some government agency, for example, or big developers would love to see the numbers, even though not necessarily all 50 people going to work on that particular project. So yeah, that's how we see in terms of expanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are the only questions I have.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll start now. Actually, our next question is regarding the challenges. So, a question is, what is the most challenging thing you faced from the past few projects? And especially you mentioned about the competitions, and I'm sure there would be some challenges, especially since we're in a pandemic. It must have been hard working from home and all. You already mentioned about COVID. So, what do you say about that? What are the most challenging things you're facing now?
Time is definitely a factor, regardless of is it a competition or an actual build project. But I think wishing for more time is not the way to go. It's counterproductive. As if you keep on the design cycle moving and then finish up and then just move on to the next one and finish up and move on to the next one, you will get more experience and knowledgeable, and you can make a better design in the next design cycle. I think not being satisfied in the project outcome is given, meaning that you're always going to feel that. But I think you need to consider and understand design is all about meeting at the junction of consequences, where you can get a consensus of different aspects of project parameter. Of course, you want to have something nice, but at the same time workable, maybe easy to maintain. So it's all about this design parameter that you have to juggle with. And I think in order to moderate all this aspect of design parameter, you need to get some knowledge, meaning that some project is a bit more vain, you can have more shape, not so much on the practicality. And then you jump into a project where you talk about how much space that we can rent and how much space that we can sell. So it gives you a different set parameter to negotiate. So I think some projects really put you between a rock and a hard place, meaning that whatever you do is going to be a very severe compromise. And in this situation, you could, if you add more time, I think you only create doubt, or really time will not improve the positioning of a project. So I think you can say that time is also, time is like a double-edged sword. It helps you, at the same time it could hurt you. Yeah.
Okay. With the less time we have given with the projects, you have received some gratifying results. Is there any project that you want to mention, like that is really satisfying when you finish the project? I'm sure that there will be different projects with different satisfaction. Is there any project that you can remember?
I think one of the usually when I enter the competition, I will do it alone, one person. So I usually need a lot of time. For example, our entry for Perak Road Market, I would say I've been doing it for 5 weeks. I think, if I'm not mistaken, using the full amount of time. I'm doing it every day. I'm putting work aside to that particular severity. And basically, this particular project is fairly close to my heart, because we actually put Qhawarizmi Architect on the map, because we won first prize for this national level competition. With all the more experienced architects are participating in this particular competition as well. So I think the reason why I think this is the most satisfying, because I think this is the best compromise that we get, and more. Not only compromise, but actually, redefining what market should be, how market should perform, and the flexibility of a market to adapt to the future. I think this, in a way, has elevated the market archetype in Malaysia that allow more and more things, social function maybe, to be integrated within the market. And maybe, this can become the new benchmark for tropical markets in Malaysia. I think the reason why we won, because we try to be totally different from what market should be, and try to focus on things that currently, as you can see, public spaces are fairly premium. So we think market should be a place where people can socialize, place people can have some green area, children can grow, and play sports. So that's what we saw market should be, because I think market occupy a lot, a large size of land, but have very low productivity. So if you could think of a way we can emphasize or generate more activity, more, become more productive, then market will be a bit more celebrated. Not like now, it's only been used during the day, during the morning. By 11 a.m. it's already closed.
Okay. Our next question is actually related to architecture students. So you want to ask is, some people say that what we study in architecture is like 30% of what we are going to experience in practice. So in your opinion, what are the necessary skills and qualities needs to be an architect? And also as a students, what should we most focus on?
I think you need to think about how you going to progress as an architect. Some people would love to gain the knowledge and try to apply in other industry, and I see there's a lot of success. Some architects become bakers, some architects become photographers, and they become the top of the line of that particular industry. But with regards to what architects should do, or architecture students should do when they want to pursue an architectural career, I think the percentage differs. Some people say 10%, as you mentioned, Adam, you say 30%, some say 50%, I don't know. But the thing that you have to focus on is actually yourself, okay? The thing with architecture education is that, for me, I would say it is sort of like a game of golf. You are playing with yourself. You're gonna get a paper that's gonna tell you what you're gonna do, the brief, and then you're gonna react to that paper. So if you could imagine, the end goal is like hole in one, meaning that you strike one and go into the hole directly, like in golf. But not many people able to do that, right? Some people need 2 or 3 strike in order to get to the hole. So you can imagine, if you do a lot based on that brief, you can learn more. For example, do you agree that some people do more than other students? You agree, right?
Yeah.
I think it's normal to see that. So the one that is doing more is not necessarily, gonna get better grades or whatnot. He or she has to do that just because he or she need to, experience that amount of learning. Some people can, go with little but learn a lot. Some people need to learn a lot in order to, get the knowledge. So I would say it is a game of golf. The amount of time that you actually do yourself, or improve yourself in that 6 years, or I don't know, in my case 4 years. Sorry, you have 6, 4, or 3, up to you, whichever courses you are in. It's totally depend on you. If you could imagine, you are a Pokemon. Do you know what a Pokemon is?
Yeah.
Okay. You know that character has level, there's number to it, right?
Yeah.
So imagine school is the place where you can improve the number, and then work is where you stagnant. For example, if I grew myself, okay, I don't know, like a Charmander into a Charizard, let's say I'm going up to level 60. When I go to work, I will only gonna be level 60. My top is level 60 or worse. I'm gonna get worse as my age come in. So what I'm trying to say is, if you could imagine, the school is the only place that you can grow. All students will, start thinking that what are the level I want to graduate at. If everyone is graduating at 30, then everyone gonna fall into 20, 25 when they are 30, 40 years old. So if you are thinking about percentage, think about how much you want to, how much you want to gain from university. And when you start working, it's just a matter of understanding how the things work. The thing with architecture practice is that if you know it, you know. There's no like an intellectual discussion, critical thinking involved in professional practice. If you know how to submit a building plan, or what we call it BP here, building plan submission, you know it. I mean, some people that actually not doing architecture, like architectural runners and whatnot, they actually know the process because they know, they have done the process before. It's not that necessarily they have to go to architecture school. So what I'm trying to say is, knowledge out there is, can only gain by experience, and if you know it, you know it. So don't be so worried that you're only getting 30. Just focus on your 30 to get the best out of your 30. You might think you get 30, but without you knowing, maybe you get like 10 out of 30 or 15 out of 30. Let's just focus on the 30 to get it, to 30 out of 30.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice for all the students. Our next question is regarding your company. I'm sure there'll be goals that you want to achieve in future. Maybe in terms of building sustainable designs or building more people-friendly designs. So, like, is there anything in specific that you want to achieve maybe in next 5 years?
So, in terms of with regards to expanding internationally, I think we don't have active effort to make that happen. I think this is because we can see that there's a lot of one is regulatory challenges, language challenges. Even if we want to export to neighboring countries like maybe Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, or Philippines, it's quite it's not as straightforward as some other services or some other products. So in the mindset of realistically looking at 5 years, we are just focusing on our infrastructure. I think because Practical Architects, as I mentioned, is just one and plus years. It's fairly new, so we're thinking, bolstering out our infrastructure, buying new computers, buying new softwares, getting permanent staff to look at some of the projects. Because if we try to expand internationally, maybe we are looking at maybe 2 years after, maybe 7 years down the line, because we can see that international travel quite being, with the COVID and why not quite, it's going to be quite problematic. But with that being said, in previous years, I've been trying to improve our international presence. I've been talking in a lecture in Vietnam in 2018, if not mistaken, and also Bangladesh in Dhaka, talking to architecture students in university there and also professionals in Vietnam. So as of now, I would say there's no plan, but who knows, after COVID, after that 5 years, maybe in 7 years time, we can see opportunities rising from foreign clients. So we have to keep in view in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one.
My final question is we all of us as an architect student, we are very curious. Have you interview postgraduates?
We have podcasts, so I interview a lot of people, architects, interns.
Okay, that's good then. Okay, based on all the people you've interviewed, what do you think is lacking in the architecture study system, the education system? Like, how do they teach the students when they graduate? Like, is it not enough? What is it?
I think, last month or earlier this month maybe, I've been called for stakeholder review for your ITM syllabus amendment. So as an alumni of that particular university, we've been called, and our feedback has been documented. And some of the feedback were, you need to try to bring the students out from the campus. For example, people that actually need some help, for example, from a small house of worship, like a mosque or a surau, or even a temple that is in need of something. For example, even as simple as shoe rack, as simple as sheltered walkway. So try to be a bit more involved with the community, because sometimes you have an architecture school there, but the architecture school never bothered to think about what are the architectural problems of the community. So they don't actually have any they don't develop that love or that appreciation of the architecture school being there, because surrounding the site has a lot of 1001 problems, but the architecture school never bring out the knowledge from the campus. So that is one of the things that we mentioned that could improve not only the students' understanding of one-to-one scale construction, but also improve the social skill, talking to the people down there, the community. What do you need? Do you need help with that or this? And also improve the brand image of that particular university. I think that is, you know, problematic when you know, I could imagine you could graduate without even understand or even know how to detail a handrail. You know, as simple as handrail. Sometimes you wonder, I mean, sometimes people out there would wonder, I mean, you were studying for 3-4 years as an architecture student, but you can't even build a simple, you know, a gazebo for the church there, or, you know, something for the orphanage there. So sometimes they wonder, what are you using that knowledge for? Is it, you know, for your selfish reason, you know, getting financial gains? So there is a lack of empathy within architecture's fraternity. We don't see that our knowledge is valuable, so we tend to keep it to ourselves, to the point where people, you know, always, you know, from the depiction from movies, drama and whatnot, it seems that architect is, you know, a stuck-up snob, people that is, you know, quite selfish. And then basically, we also said that maybe some level of integration of legal framework is also important. So a lot of students have no awareness of UBBL or Uniform Building by Law or Street Drainage Building Act or Housing Development Act, Strata Title Act. So all this, I've been told that I informed that it could be integrated with design to some degree. You know, you can just have like a two session of 2 hours. You can call, you know, professional architect, you just talk about what it is. You don't have to, you know, fully abide to the law. Maybe you can have a, you know, wiggle room, some space for you to breathe. But awareness is fairly important, because, for example, a lot of, you know, this is one of the common one, a lot of common building or public building in schools, in design in school, for example, community hub and whatnot, has single staircase. Even though we know to get a single staircase building is fairly rare, and it applies only to house, to very specific architecture. But when you go to school, that is one of the most common problem with understanding the law. You know, at least in Malaysia lah, you need to have 2 fire staircase in any public building, regardless of size. So that, as simple as that, when you have those 2 staircase, you will start to change your design, because you will see, if I design a building so small, the footprint is so small, and I have 2 staircase, it doesn't look logic. It has more staircase than space. So that, you know, you start to change the design. Maybe you have, you know, larger space on that floor, or you just go with a single story. So stuff like that. So I think there is 2 that we, you know, that I put forward. One is empathy toward the society, and second one is just, you know, some level of regulatory legal framework to be included in design. Yeah. So that's what you can improve on.
We can improve on, or the educational system?
I mean, of course, as I mentioned, you can, you know, improve your own level. You need to do your own, you know, heavy lifting if the school does not provide it. Yeah. No, I'm saying that because of my own experience. When I was a student, I was lacking in those 2 areas. And as I grew older in master's level, then only I realized how important it is, and I took it upon myself to read all the related legal acts on my own time. Yeah. All right.
We would just like to say thank you so much. I'm so sorry that it was, I don't know, was it too early? I don't know. But
no, it's okay.
Okay.
All the best with your studies then. Thank you, Abigail and Adam.
Okay, sir, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye.